One thing I really don't get at all is how people sit here and try to complain that a game isn't graphically impressive, and that if a game isn't freaking like it doesn't have like the best graphics ever, or it doesn't have all this attention to detail, or if horse balls don't shrink in it like in Red Dead Redemption 2, then the game is bad. A game nowadays has to be graphically impressive in order to be considered good. It's not about the damn gameplay or the level design or the characterization or the story anymore, or how the freaking like enemy AI reacts to you and stuff, or how you have all these different move sets and abilities. No, instead it boils down to, oh well, is the game beautiful? And I'm like, are you serious right now, man? Just because a damn game is beautiful doesn't mean it's good, okay? You can have the most graphically impressive looking game in the world, but it can still be terrible. I mean, there's a reason why The Last of Us 2 is bad. Okay, man? Like, The Last of Us 2 to me is just really, really bad, okay? It's one of the most graphically impressive looking games ever. But the story is absolutely terrible, and the gameplay, while it isn't terrible, it's not something that'll just carry the game, because the first Last of Us didn't have they didn't have like a stellar, deep, intricate gameplay either. The story is exactly what carried it, along with its graphics. And if you take the story away, all you're left with is graphics and the mid gameplay. And that's pretty much what The Last of Us 2 is. It's a beautiful looking game with a terrible story and shallow gameplay. Like, come on, man. There's a reason why Red Dead Redemption 2 is hailed as something amazing, because the graphics and its story is good, and while the gameplay is good as well, it's not some deep gameplay. It's essentially just GTA's gameplay, but with a Western setting to it. Like, come on, man. I don't understand these people who sit here and say that graphics are everything. Graphics are better than actual gameplay. Number two, I don't understand people who sit here and just act like the art style is not important, but graphics are. First of all, no. You can have the most graphically impressive looking game ever, but that's always going to be topped sometime later in the future. Art style is something that lives on and on. There's a reason why Dark Souls, Bioshock, Deus Ex, System Shock, Resident Evil, Dead Space, and many, many, many other games like Spec Ops The Line are still hailed as some of the greatest games ever, okay? Ultima Underworld, the Stygian Abyss, and many, many others that I'm pretty sure some of you have or have not heard of. But there's a reason why these games are still held up there, okay? Because of art style, gameplay, level design, characterization, or story, or all. Okay? They don't have some of the greatest graphics ever, even though some of those games that I've named have graphics that still hold up today, even by 2022 standards. But they don't have this intricately deep, realistic, fucking photorealistic, oh my god, I can't tell if it's a photo or if it's from a movie kind of style graphic. Instead, games like these focus on its world building and level design and lore, and they focus on the most important aspect of all, being a game, hence making good gameplay. But even then, it doesn't exactly really matter, because take a look at this game right here that I'm playing right here, Dark Souls 3. This game right here is amazing as hell. It's from the Souls series, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you already know of. It has world building and lore. It has pretty good graphics, even by today's standards, even though it came out in 2016, and the art style it's still holding up there, and the gameplay, of course, is phenomenal. The enemy AI, it's a very tough and brutal game, but it's a trial and error style of game, where if you fuck up, you have a chance to come back and try again and learn from what you messed up on, hence learning from your mistakes, trial and error, and I appreciate games like this. FromSoft, they know exactly what they're doing and what kind of style of game they wanted to make, and they've stuck to that for their entirety as a company. You know, like, games don't need to have the greatest graphics ever to be good. The Soul series is proof of that. Okay? Not only that, Bioshock is proof of that. Persona 5, many, many other games, God of War, they're all proof of these ideas, okay? That games don't need to have the greatest graphics ever and no gameplay at all to be good. Hence, what you're basically asking for is nothing but just some graphically impressive movie game, which is an issue that a lot of people be complaining already that Sony games be having anyway. But they're wrong about that. Not Sony games are not movie games. I mean, they are movie-like for sure, especially Uncharted and The Last of Us, okay? But they're not no darn movie games. They still have really good gameplay for the most part. You know, The Last of Us, its gameplay is just, it's, you know, it's stale and all, but it's not terrible. It's just, you know, the bare minimum. But games like Uncharted and God of War or Bloodborne or Crash Bandicoot, you know, or all those other kind of games on PlayStation, they all have some really good gameplay and stuff, especially Uncharted and God of War. People always tell me, oh, well, Uncharted's gameplay is boring and stuff. It's all about the story and the graphics. And I'm like, nah, dude. Sure, the story and the graphics are the forefront, but the gameplay is really good for a third-person shooter, man. Like, especially Uncharted 2 and 4. The set pieces, the combat, all of it is really darn good. Okay, man, Uncharted understands that it's, you know, something, it's telling a story like a movie, but it also knows that it need to have good gameplay in order to really be able to stand out as well. And that's a thing. Okay? And then we got God of War as well, which don't even get me started on that. It's some of the greatest hack and slashes ever, along with Devil May Cry and like Bayonetta and stuff, okay? Combat in there is brutal, amazing, visceral. The quick time events are really good, and they don't affect the gameplay at all. In fact, they're pretty integral and they work really well. And that's the point that I don't get, is that there's people out here who are like graphics whores, who sit here and just hype up games for having the greatest graphics ever. Like, oh my god, dude, look at Horizon Forbidden West or Horizon Zero Dawn or God of War freaking 2018 or some other kind of games like freaking Gran Turismo or Forza Horizon. They're like, oh my god, dude, these graphics are the greatest ever. GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, these graphics are the greatest ever. Oh my god, dude. And then they'll look at another game and they'll be like, man, this game sucks because the graphics are not on par with this. And I'm like, dude, what the hell is wrong with you, man? Are you seriously sitting here telling me that you really think this game sucks because the graphics are bad? Now, admittedly, no one wants to look at ugly graphics, okay? That's a fair point. If you don't want to see a game with like some terrible looking like PS2 kind of graphics, even though the PS2 games have really good graphics that hold up by today's standards as well. I mean, just look at Final Fantasy X and stuff, okay? Or God of War 2. They still hold up. But like, it's understandable if you don't want to look at a game with some ugly graphics, like some Mighty Number 9 type of pizza explosion graphics, okay? But if you're telling me that a game needs to have good graphics in order to even be considered a good game, then I'm sorry to say this, but you really are dumb, because a game is not supposed to be focused on graphics. It's supposed to be focused on what a game is supposed to be. Gameplay, you know, hence being a game. It's supposed to be something that's played, not watched. Do you understand my point? Like, what, again, bring it back to the gameplay in the background. Dark Souls 3, you know. This right here, it's a really impressive looking game, but the story, lore, combat, and the enemy AI and world design is what sells it. Not its graphics, which are good, but the graphics, if the graphics was the only thing going for this game, it'd just be another middling experience. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to make that point of reference today. You know, I just want to kind of ramble and rant on people who sit here and do stuff like this, who just sit here and talk about how a game needs to have good graphics in order to even be considered good. Because there's people like that, there's YouTubers like that who talk about this stuff, who make these dumb hot takes by saying, oh, well, yeah, the gameplay looks cool, but it sucks because the graphics are bad, or the graphics don't look as good as Red Dead Redemption 2. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, you know, I don't understand how you could say this, man. A game is supposed to be a gameplay first, graphics and stuff second, okay? Make your gameplay good. Then if you want to, you make this game look pretty as much as you want to. Famous quote from old Bungie back when they were making the OG Halo trilogy games. The game has to play good and be fun before we make this area look pretty. That's what they said. And that's something you should be standing by. Your game has to be fun first before you make it look pretty, okay? And another quote by Shigeru Miyamoto. He said, if it's not fun, why bother? Okay, I'm joking. That wasn't by Shigeru Miyamoto. That was the homie Reggie, okay? Who sadly freaking retired from Nintendo, you know? Hope he's living his best life. But still, if the game is not fun, why bother? You know, it's not supposed to be all about graphics and stuff. That's really stupid, okay? That's kind of just what I wanted to make a point on. Anyway, that's gonna be it for today's video. You guys already know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe above. If you're new to the channel, do the same thing as well. Appreciate all the support. Mitsunanika, out.